You can see the lunch and learn.
Yep.
Slide. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Selves together here. You've got Will here today. I'm so sorry. I got a couple things going on. Do we have any pre-submitted questions today?
Nope. None for today.
Okay.
Looks like David has a question now.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Hey,
you.
Dave. What's up, man? Long time
Hey.
no talk. How are you?
Yeah, we haven't been busy, so I haven't had a chance to join lately. Maybe hopefully this will be a quickie for you. Is there a step or a way that I can pick up a file and tell what size it is in terms of kilobytes or megabytes or something like that? And then kind of second part to that question would be, is there a step or some way that I could change the attributes on that file, like to make it read only or change the permissions on the file?
I don't think so. Can you? But if you can do this with PowerShell or command line, you could definitely leverage that kind of stuff and call
That's
those.
Yeah, that's where my head went. I was just curious if there was something
Yeah,
in the system that did that.
Let me just see. I don't even think we give you access to like the size anywhere. Let's see. I might be wrong, but let's look for file. So load all files, like list files and directory gives you just a string list.
Right.
Load file gives you the file data. And file data gives me file.
Yeah, I thought there was a property there called length, and I'm wondering, is that character length or is it length or is that a byte?
I think that's byte length.
Yeah, I guess I could do some math and figure it out that way.
Yeah, we don't give you any of that right now for free in the step list. Not that we shouldn't. Yeah, I bet in the what's in the debugger, I think it probably actually shows it. Length is 22168. Interesting. Windows is reporting to me that that file is 22 kilobytes. Let's see if that mirrors a different file. Here, let me do a big file. Ooh, it's half a gig. That's half a meg. All right, let me do that one. Let's just see if that matches. Score initial spelled wrong. Show .bak. Now Windows is reporting to me that this is 524 kilobytes. And here I see my length is, so you'd have to do a little bit of math to convert these. So that's 537 million. And that's 524 kilobytes. So yeah, I think you could derive it from the lengths, if not exactly. Do you need an exact, are you looking for just a general number or the exact size?
We have a process that we get these, just sometimes they can be massive XML files and we process them, and the other side of that token, they're either huge or they're small. So I basically want to write a workflow that says every time that this schedule runs to dump these things into a directory, basically go and look at the size and split them off into a big and small folder so that I can have 2 instances of that process run.
Right.
So I think that'll probably work. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay. Yeah, I think it might be able to use that.
Yeah, I think probably PowerShell or you run using like a run command step.
Yeah. Do you just use a straight run command, or there was another step that I saw in there that you can run a command on a file?
And command line program on file.
Yeah. I didn't know what
never
that
use
did.
this.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the documentation on that.
We have that yet? Let's see. We're working through the step library.
Yeah, I think it's in the step index thing somewhere.
Command, run command program on file. The run command program on file provides the ability to execute command line scripts on a file. The step functions similarly to steps found in the Python module. That doesn't really help me understand a lot. Inputs, output, command, the absolute file path of the executable file. The run command line program. Oh, I bet. So does this only work for like executables or bash scripts or something?
Yeah, that's what I was
That's what I'm-
wondering. I think execute command, you can.
You can just write a generic like command line, like CLI command here that you would just run in command line. I guess
Yeah.
this is if you want to pass args into like an executable file, which you
Got
could
it.
still do
Oh,
with this
yeah.
step. I think if you just wrote the command with the appropriate pathing.
Yeah.
So yeah, working directory file input. Oh, but you can pass the actual file data, so you could dynamically. I think these are kind of interchangeable for what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, look at that. Well, that's not exactly. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, I have. Yeah, let's just. I would say probably using some sort of like get file information Windows command is probably your best bet. You're pulling it from like a network share or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'd figure out the command, run that command, get the file size back. Because here you're actually already loading the file. You're kind of loading it into the flow's memory, and you don't probably need to do that, or at least maybe not yet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
This will just touch the file, if you will, it'll just output like the data from the command line step. Then you can check that output on the success path.
Yeah.
See if it's above or below whatever your threshold is, and then go down the appropriate path.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Anything else related to that?
No, not right now.
Okay. Well, good to talk to you, man. Let me know if you got anything else.
Sure, we'll do.
Right, Alex. Good to talk to you too, sir. Long time no speak. What can I help you with?
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, you as well.
So I have a flow that's dead in the sense that it generates a series of assignments through a branch merge step, and at a certain point, sometimes for reasons that I don't understand, the end users are no longer able to access the right-click, view assignment kind of thing. So as far as I understand, I've opened a ticket with support for this, and
Okay.
I think they've identified it as an issue in 6.18, and that it's going to be resolved. We're going to 8.6 this weekend, so that's going to fix the problem.
Okay.
My question is kind of more general. If I do run into a flow issue,
Yeah.
how do I find out what the underlying flow is, and is the action of killing it what you're supposed to do to get rid of this thing in its entirety?
So you've got a flow with a process folder or a case, and in that case or process folder, you have an assigned form or a series of assigned forms.
Yeah.
And it gets into a bad state at some point in the processing of it.
Yeah. So now the end user who has the assignment in their inbox
Mhm.
they can't actually see the assignment form. It just, they right click on it, you say view assignment or whatever, and the screen flashes and nothing happens.
Mm.
So I'm just noticing that, I kind of figured out by going to, can't remember where I went. This is in production, right? So I'm on the wrong screen here. So I kind of noticed that by going into the flow management.
Yeah, flow management.
And I go into running flows.
Yep.
And
Oh, running flows. I see. Okay.
yeah, and so, okay, so now for some reason, this thing has disappeared. It's no longer in running flows.
Yeah.
It seems to maybe come in and out of running flows and stored flows, or I'm
I
not
wouldn't
really.
use, yeah, that's a great question. So you have an assigned form. You're talking about a flow that is persistent now, not just sort of running. I personally don't use running flows ever for anything.
Okay.
I don't know that it can get a little wonky. What you're looking for is flow management. You would see it in stored, like, so it'll show in stored, and until it's completed, it should always show in stored. But let's see, let me really quickly, I'm going to build a super dumb flow and with just a couple of signed forms, and then and we'll kind of talk through what would be the first place you'd want to go to kind of manage this. So bear with me just
Right.
this really quickly here as I make an empty form, then assign that form to administrators and put some garbage text for assignment name and action name and copy it 2 times. Go. And this. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just gonna really quickly grab, what I would have normally is the flow tracking ID, right? Which I'm assuming you can get this, but if I look at the entity assignment table, which is where those assignments live at, and I'm just gonna order by the created on date, just to get that new one at the top. And there's my assignment ID. And what I want is actually the flow tracking ID. That's the unique ID for that flow execution. And now if I copy this flow tracking ID and duplicate my tab here, come back, maybe. Then come here to system administration, system tools, and I'll be on flow management. Now I only have one record. I guess I didn't need flow tracking ID, but realistically I need to find the flow tracking ID and filter this report on this primary flow tracking ID.
Yep.
And that gives me the step list here, and I can see it's active on form 1. So just to duplicate again and go back to my inbox, I'm just going to move that forward. And so let me refresh. Now you can see I've got a current step on form 1, which is kind of unfortunately named exactly the same, but as a show form step, I can see the step name here, and I can see a completed one. So usually what that means is like this one, that's the one in your user's inbox, is probably in a bad state. And so you have a couple options. You can rerun step, or you could go to the previous assignment and you could say start after, and it'll give you the outcome pass for that step, or restart at step. Kind of what you do, like here, for example, if I look at my inbox, you'll see I have, well, I haven't really done a good job of making this useful. 1 second here. Is I can restart. Let me restart at the previous assigned form step, right? If I refresh this dashboard, you'll notice it's back down to the first show form step. Now, I don't know if, yeah, and you'll see that we just restarted. So there's only one here. It's gotten rid of that assignment. So if I need to, the simplest thing would be to just try to reload the flow data to see if you can get it back into a good state. I actually went back to the previous step and started that step, which would require like the previous approver or something to to recomplete their task. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think my problem is that I'm kind of, I'm in a loop. Like I've got a data structure that I previously built that is people that need to approve something and the level that they need to approve it at.
Right.
So now I'm going like in a for loop and I'm going for each level. I basically do a branch merge of all the people that need to approve it at that level.
Okay.
You know, so like I don't think I can really usefully break out of this thing in any way that's not going to irritate everyone.
Okay. You're in a static branch and merge, or you're in a branch for each?
A branch for each. So the thing is that, and also as these things get executed, each assignment form updates the underlying data structure with the comments and approvals and all that sort of stuff for that individual and that sort of stuff. So I think that my only hope here is to basically stop all of this and manually finish the things for them, you know, kind of thing. So, but I mean, the thing is that I'm kind of curious is that, so I can go in and I can, you know, run the complete assignment step, and that, you know, completes the assignment. I get to populate comments and that sort of stuff, and it disappears from their inbox. What happens to the underlying principal flow? Like, that's as far as I understand, like, even if I do these activities for these people, completing assignments, changing the state of the underlying data type and that sort of stuff, so that everything looks good, I think the flow's still running.
You're actually completing the assign, like you're able to open the assign form and progress it forward.
No, I can't open the assignment form, but I can use a step, like from systems integrations to actually to actually do this step for them.
I see. The right way to think about it is the flow's not running. The flow is asleep and serialized in the database. So it still exists. It's not running though. And running flows won't give you that, but you could, if you'd gone through and you had manually completed all these activities for the users who were supposed to, if the flow progressed as expected, it would be to come use like in flow, clear flow data on this report. That should clean its record from the database, not the assignment entities and all of their auditing, but just the actual flow, sort of flow execution data itself, the input mappings and variables and all those things that float around in a flow until it hits its end step.
Okay, so that, I guess, is what I'm looking for. So basically in flow management, by the tracking ID, which I can get from any one of the assignments, because all of the assignments will have the same tracking ID, right?
Yeah, in fact, if you're using a process folder, you can get it from a right-click action on the process folder. You don't get the same thing off of a case, but like if you right-click on a process folder and go to manage, it'll give you flow tracking ID automatically.
Okay. Perfect. And then from there, I basically go to flow management, find this guy, right-click on it, and end it.
And then it'll clear itself out of the related database tables, and it should get rid of this assigned form. That should no longer be current. That's probably, I just hit an issue. There might be, you've sort of manually done, you might have to manage the assignments also. You might have to mark them deleted so that they get removed from users' inboxes.
No, yeah, I actually approve them for them. Like my workaround is to ask them to give me their approval by email, and then I take their comments and I, using the step, I basically complete the assignment with whatever they told me to complete it with. So this will be gone. I just want to that any like kind of resources that are associated with the flow die too. So that's what I'm getting from flow management. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, perfect. Great, appreciate that.
You bet, sir. Okay, anybody else got anything for us today? Alex, I'll just put you on mute. Just
yeah, I've got one in the chat for you.
oh, oops. Let me see here. Why is a drop-down component not available on a simple form, and how to style a checkbox on the standard form? There's no drop-down list on a simple form? Sounds unexpected. Let's see here. This might be, we're kind of using a different paradigm for this simple form piece. It might be if I put a text field here that you have to controls data. Maybe it's under list. Let me bring a list control. Yeah, on the list control, I think you set its type, don't you? Am I just confused? What is a list? Let's see, is a list control? Sorry, I'm not super familiar with simple forms, so let's learn this together here. Data name, garbage label. List item data names is list of stuff. The type is string. Okay, and the label is selected stuff. Right, static input. And let's see here. Let me put this in a flow and run it really quickly. Pick existing, recent, simple form 1. Boom, boom. Now, if I put list of stuff, A, B, C, and debug, that's a list. Do we really not have a drop down for simple forms? That seems highly unlikely. List box, list, radio button list, checkbox list, sortable list box. Okay, there's not a, to the question here, I don't know who this is from. There might be one in 8.9. I'm on 8.8. Let me ask really quickly. I doubt I'll get an answer for you. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll be adding it. Right now we don't have it. I don't really know the why there. Of course, you can use a standard form if you need a drop-down list versus one of the list options that it has. And how to style a checkbox on a standard form. Should just be able to use CSS, though some of these things also have images. Words. There we go. So here's a checkbox. So under view, there's our CSS class. So you can use CSS of some sort. I think the actual box itself is an image, if I recall correctly. I think there's a relationship between the theme editor and our CSS here for certain pieces of the checkbox control. Let me see here. Click into checkbox. That up. Yeah, table with a body, more tables. Checkbox container and a div input type checkbox ID. So the type, oh no, it's just an input type. So it's not an actual image. So you can write CSS to do this. And I think you might actually be able to control some of this with a theme editor, but I'm starting to doubt that a bit now. Let's just go look at the theme editor and see if there's anything there. Oh, here we go. Themes, theme editor. Let's just search for check. That's property grid checkbox, not the one in the form. Normal. I think this is for the property grid. I don't think this is one in the form. Might be. Checkbox normal. This is an image. Interesting. The one in the form is an input. This one is an image. Oh, this is sortable checkbox. So I think the answer here is going to be CSS. Ultimately, is the way to style that. The actual box is browser standard interpretation. So is it going to be different from browser to browser? I don't think input is browser standard, is browser specific, right? Input is just HTML standard, right? I mean, could the browsers render input type differently? Sure, absolutely. But that's, I think, kind of the name of the game for the web, right? You might have to write CSS that accounts for different browser rendering, possibly. At least I don't think so. Or at least, yeah. Not find a class for checkbox. You'll need to create your own CSS here. You're gonna have to create, you need to override the, you're gonna create, it's not gonna be a class, right? It's gonna be, you want to style the input itself. So if you wanted to look here at the class, the class would be something like, oh, I can't see anything. Hold on, so I can actually see checkbox. Class full size. That's not going to help. Class undefined full size validation holder. That's our validation class. So that's not helpful. Class checkbox container. So class checkbox container dot, or there's DP check holder. Something, I think checkbox container dot DP check holder. Dot notation might not be the right thing for CSS. I haven't written CSS for a moment. Should allow you to specify CSS for your checkbox, I think. Yeah, of course, the ID is unique. But there's DP check holder. And then there's checkbox container.
Hey, well, just quickly, and this is coming, I think, from Ryan. I've had some of these difficulties before, and he pointed me to CSS Magic, you know, which is
Sure.
a Chrome browser extension, which allows you to basically point at the control, and it will show you the CSS that's controlling it and allow you to change it dynamically. So
Yeah, great. Great suggestion.
Figure out what it is that you want to do, and then just basically copy the CSS out into a CSS file and you know, import it into your environment and use it.
Oh, interesting. Maurice is sharing me with something with me. Checkbox. This checkbox list. Checkbox list. We have twice for some reason. Checkbox list. I wonder if that's just it's type. Maurice, do you know? That's a sortable checkbox list. This is a drop down list. Do you mind, Maurice, you get a doc ticket in to get that fixed? You see how there's two checkbox lists here?
Yeah, I need that. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I don't see checkbox in here, but let's see. That's drop down list, combo list, my drop down list, my drop down list. Form surface view, common input, form surface. Maybe sortable checkbox will give us something. This doesn't really have, this is a good, I think some good stuff here, Maurice. I don't think this answers the exact question thing though. But yeah, no, I think CSS Magic is a good suggestion as well, because that can help you just craft CSS on the fly in a very easy way. And that's just a Chrome extension like Alex was saying. Okay, anything else from anybody?
I have something, just, I mean, it's a support ticket, but I thought I haven't heard back from them, and I thought maybe you would actually know this.
Sure, man.
Off
Happy to
the
help.
top of your head. So
Hopefully.
one of the things that I have come across in the past is changing the text attribute of a data type, from the default 255 to varchar max or specified or that sort of stuff. And in one instance, I haven't actually taken the time to figure out exactly what's going on. When I imported it from one environment to the other, it actually deleted my column and stored it in a secondary table.
Yep.
And so, do you know the steps that are responsible for that particular situation occurring, so I can avoid it?
Yeah, the problem here is when we can't move the data for you. So let's assume you had a string field named, like you created a type, you create a database structure and create a type. You accidentally create your created on date as a string, right? And you've added data into that column somehow. I mean, this is probably a bit of a stupid example, but just bear with me. So you create a string type called created on date, and then you realize your mistake. You've gotten data in there or something, and you go and you create and you say, oh, I need to swap that. Well, we can't safely convert strings to date times for you. And so instead of trying to avoid the opportunity or the possibility for data loss, like at all, what we do is we take that, we copy the primary key in that column into a shadow table. And so you get like your table name underscore old or backup underscore date timestamp, right?
Yep.
And then once we've copied that data over, we drop your column and we drop that column and then add your new column, your new empty column of date time to it. And the goal there is we don't want to provide the opportunity for us to make a mistake and lose data. So you have to manually remediate that that scenario. You have to we're intentionally making it kind of hard because we're afraid of data loss occurring. That's why that's happening.
Okay.
It's an unsafe change. Like you should be able to move like a date time to a string, because we can just copy anything into a string, right? But if it's like anything like if it goes from a less defined to a more defined type, it's going to be like, nope, create the shadow table, drop the column, add your new column, and then it should give you that information. Like it should send an email to admins, and you should get a pop-up.
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess what happened is I probably went set a column to varchar max and then decided, well, that's unnecessary. I'm just going to move it back to 2000.
Exactly. That'll do it. That'll 100% do it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then max can't go into 2000. So end of story. Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess the concern that I had was that it actually did this without giving me the option to stop the whole process.
That is a fair consideration, Alex. I mean, we should definitely prompt you more there. 100%. I would and on that support ticket, do you have I think we should get a DT in for that for sure. You're right. I mean, the system should be like, hey, hold up, this is an unsafe change and you might have to do some manual remediation. Are you sure you want to continue?
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
It's probably triggering off of like sequels, like data will be truncated, right?
Exactly.
You actually have to set some ANSI options to get rid of that kind of thing, or but it kills it doesn't go forward, it stops. You actually have to take the action beforehand It won't do anything on your behalf without, anyway, I just kind of found myself in a position, hey, where's all my data gone?
Yeah, no, it's quite, until I sort of figured this out years ago or how this works, you know, I've definitely had been on a very panicked customer call where they were for sure that their data had been, we had removed all the call data from their database.
Yeah, so,
That
okay,
was-
so now I understand how it's all put together, and that you actually answered one of my questions, that the primary ID of the underlying table is the thing that I'm going to find in the shadow table. So that's
For sure.
perfect. I know how to write a flow to remediate that. So
Yeah, you can just write a flow or do it straight in SQL, like an insert into like type SQL statement if you want. You can do it. If you do it in SQL, you might have to restart just as a note, but yeah, you just have to fix that.
okay, perfect. Appreciate that.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, thanks. There's a lot of moving pieces there. It was a little bit tough.
No, great call.
All right, anybody else got anything for us today?
Looks like one just came in the chat.
In QA?
Put it in the chat as
We
well.
had a weird issue where our container went down, and when we tried to get it back up, it failed, stating cannot rename modifier date column to modified date in module resource table because it already exists. I'm not familiar with that. Modifier date? Interesting. So the container was trying to restart, and it was trying to make a modification to, it's trying to do like a table, like a column name change, module resource table. But no, I'm not familiar with that at all. That's something I'd love to open up a support ticket about to get you some help on. We definitely have people running containers. Those containers turn on and off all day. So there's something squirrely going on there. That's not just container specific. For sure. I don't know why what would be trying to rename modifier date column to modified date. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sure. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Not familiar with that scenario for sure. Yeah, do not know. Yeah, the anonymous attendees mentioning they dropped the modifier. Okay, anything else? Alrighty. Okay, thanks everybody.
Okay, great.
And I
Thank you.
think just, oh, do you have something else, Alex?
Nope, I said no,
Oh.
just the thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to help. And looks like we have Cam from support on for tomorrow. So appreciate everyone's questions, and I will talk to this group next week.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks.